Garden Route Disaster Centre, actually our call centre was notified of a fire in the Herald area on Wednesday the 24th of October. Unfortunately at that point in time we were fighting a fire in Vermaaklikheid. So all the teams were deployed there, and fortunately we had at that fire got the resources in, aerial resources in, from Nelspruit and outside the area. So we had 2 bombers there, and we had an Oryx, and we had a UE helicopter that was brought in for the fire in Vermaaklikheid when this fire started. But you can't run away from one and into the other. You must first finish up and do everything so that you don't create another problem. So the Eden Disaster Centre was activated on Sunday to act as a coordination platform. I think you're familiar with this. In Knysna we also did the same. And from that coordination platform, the resources was then tasked to go and work in specific areas. Subsequent to that, on Monday, actually the big problem came. On Sunday we had a coordination meeting, all the role players was there, and we prepared, we did the evacuation planning that needed to be done. The mayors was there, everyone was there. Very well attended. And on the Monday we were ready for what was coming, because we knew on the Monday we were going to get a northwesterly wind, which would drive the fire from Herald, where it originated, into the town of George. It was quite hectic on Monday. The conditions was not favourable for firefighting. Unfortunately, we couldn't get the aerial resources airborne. The smoke was too thick and it was mist. So although we had the resources, we couldn't use it when we really needed to use them, and we were reliant on all the ground teams that we've pulled in over the time. This fire spread quite rapidly, and it jumped some of the lines that we hoped we could contain it at, and it was spreading into the town. The first major concern for us was to protect the waterworks, because without water the town would have another disaster, a knock-on. So a lot of effort was done to protect the waterworks. A lot of people saw the fire break that was done behind the Indenneoord, behind the waterworks, and it was there to protect. And as the fire progressed, the teams that we've got in was placed all around this fire. This fire on the Monday spread also to the wilderness area at the back of wilderness. But we were informed on Monday morning at around about 10 o'clock of another fire. Because what happened on Monday is with this wind we also got lightning. So there was 4 or 5 other fires during this fire, and then we were informed of another fire at Karatara. That fire was being monitored by Sandsparks people, and they were really banking on the indigenous forest to keep the fire back. Normally the indigenous forest does that, but in this case it did not, and we now know what the consequence of that was. We lost lives, which we really did not want to have. We maintained all the time, we got the fire not to come into the urban areas. Some of the areas in George had to be evacuated. Fortunately the evacuation plan worked, and we managed to clear the people out of these areas. In Karatara, we lost lives, but we also knew the fire was going to spread towards the Renendal side. So on Tuesday we did evacuations before the time, and we evacuated nearly 1,000 people. We would have had to evacuate 6,000 people, and we knew that the halls in the Knysna area wouldn't be able to accommodate all the people. And fortunately there again the George municipality mayor said, you can use my halls, you can use Go George. Everything was used to get people out of harm's way if necessary. Fortunately again, late afternoon on Tuesday, the wind direction changed and it was pushing the fire away from Renendal and Karatara, and we could call down the evacuations. At this point in time, the fire is still got an active head behind the Vlucht. It was threatening a sawmill last night, but we managed to get the fire around that sawmill. It didn't burn, and it's still in very old veld, and it will be burning for a couple of days still. But fortunately, there's not many people living in that area. It's a barren area, and the wind direction will be pushing it in that direction for the next 3-4 days. So I don't foresee that there's an immediate threat there. Then if I come around the fire, you know the area well, so it's from the vlucht where that fire is now, coming around to Ongelegen and Nol and Eseljacht and Louvain. There's teams right around the fire still doing mopping up. There is areas inside that might be still smouldering and there's smoke, but most of those areas is contained all the way in Herald, Bobmskraal, over the mountain, right over here. And in the plantation you'll still see areas that's burning but not much, and it's burning with a backburn, so there's the wind, it's burning against the wind, so it's not burning fast, and the teams is able to contain it. All along the urban fringe of the town, our saving grace, I must say, was the fire belts that the George municipality had in place from where firefighting activities could be done. It doesn't stop a fire, people mustn't think that it stops a fire, but at least gives you an access point where the firefighting activities could be started from. Then going around the waterworks, it's all safe now, and then there's teams also in Hoekville at the back, and Hoekville also still monitoring the fire. We've got 579 people, which in itself is a logistical challenge, but fortunately we got the Rosenmoor Sports Stadium to use as a base camp from the George municipality side, and the teams come and go from there. There's an incident management system being put in place, similar to what you saw in Knysna. So the coordination of that is done by the Garden Route Fire Chief, and everything is going as it should at this point in time.
And Tsitsikamma?
The Tsitsikamma fire is not in our area, but I knew you were going to ask that question, so I actually got a feedback. There's 4 fires in the Tsitsikamma area. There's one at Boskop that is contained at this point. There's one at Storms River. There's still a line to the east, but it's burning up in the catchment, so it's high up. At Witelsbos, there's one in the mountain as well, but that is 20% contained already. And then the Krom River, they couldn't contain it yet, but they're busy approaching the head. So what they normally do is they try to cut off the head of the fire and then start containment. So that one is still running at the head, and they haven't contained that one yet, but the end 2 is open.
Is Eastern Cape managing that?
Yes, that's being dealt with by the Eastern Cape, and we are also keeping an eye on that, because if wind directions change, it comes this way. So if they need aerial resources, and they can use them, because sometimes people think the aerial resource just puts the fire out. You need ground crew with the aerial resource, otherwise it doesn't work. You need the people to mop up, you need the people to follow up. The downdraft of that aircraft is so much that even the water that it throws, it'll just ignite next to it again. So you need the people on the ground. So where you can get access and where they can use an aerial resource, we've placed it on our radar to assist in that case. So aerial resources could be stood down to assist there as well. In this fire, the active fire line to the west is slowly creeping on towards the Jonkersberg mountain. We've got an eye on that as well, because the power line that comes over the mountain is close to it, and daily we're also looking at that. But once again, that area is inaccessible, and even if you put 20 helicopters there, you won't bomb the line out. It's very old felt, but it's burning against the wind, so we're monitoring that day after day to see where we can get access, and to also put it out on the western side of this fire.